Hello, Bambaji here with another sun transit. We're about to move into gate 48, but before I look at the overview here, I just want to check in with you. How are you doing? How was gate 18 for you? I know some people had a bit of a rough time with it. Other people, not so much. It does depend a lot on what's going on in your chart, what's going on in your life as well, in many ways. But, is your splenic system defined, or is it open? What else have you got going on? Is it part of a channel? Is it a standalone gate? All of these things make a difference. Is it part of your cross? These things all play in. And it's not as simple as just saying, this is gate 18, deal with it. It's what else is going on there? But it is a gate that's, it's in logical circuitry. There's that focus on judgment, on correction, and it can very easily turn inwards. And this is something I found certainly because I have it as a hanging gate. A hanging gate means that my splenic center is open, and I just have it as a gate there. It's hanging out. Um, and I found it was tricky, or it's a tricky gate, I think. So just thinking of you all as you're going through this transit and sending you my support, and and I'm here rooting for you all. And I don't know, I had to say that in a different accent, but there you go. Today we're looking at gate 48. The sun moves into gate 48 at 06:04, and on Wednesday, the 2nd of October, that's where we are. And we have at the end of this transit, so when we're on the sixth line is another one of those tricky double sun days. So we'll have the sixth line, 48.6 at the usual time. I'll release that around at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then in the evening, we'll have the 57.1 because the sun is moving into that position in the same day. So it's one of those, happens, doesn't it, regularly? And we deal with it. So here we go. Let us have a look at 48. So you can see that it is, of course, in the splenic center. And where else is it going to be right now? Splenic center, pointing upwards towards gate 16 in the throat. And it is called the well. It is called the gate of depths. It has a number of other names, depending whether you have it or not. So gate 16, its harmonic, is the gate of enthusiasm and skills. And together they form the channel of the wavelength, a design of talent. So yeah, gate of depth, the gate of profundity. It's a lovely word, isn't it? The gate of profundity. Above the lines in the Ravi Ching, it says the necessary and qualitative foundation that is a prerequisite to establish the common good. Ra said that this was one of the most collective of gates, and also in many ways one of the darkest of gates. He talked about it being the gate of black magic. And because of the binary that we live in, if we have the gate of black magic, then we also have a gate of white magic. And the gate of white magic is gate 11. And that's the gate of ideas up in the ajna. Ideas don't have to be practical, solutions do. The nature of the 48th gate is to come to grips with what is exactly, the wind has just blown my door open, what is exactly of, what is exactly, train of thought gone. All right, gate 11, gate 48, coming to grips with what is exactly the right pattern and to understand the form. Because to understand the form is to understand the pattern. To understand the pattern is to be able to offer practical solutions. And in many ways, I've said this before, when the moon goes through gate 48, it's like the poster child for the 5th line, because it's got practical solutions. It's also called the well. All of those solutions are crammed in that well. It just needs to get them out. But the depth of the well is one of the darkest places that we find in the chart. It is filled with a deep, dark mystery. I don't know if you remember, you might not have had this where you are, but years ago there was an advert for chocolates called Black Magic. So it's like, what is the secret of the black magic box? And it's a bit like that in gate 48, really, without the chocolate. Yeah, maybe not a very good analogy. Okay, moving on. So black magic is that of unexpressed, unmanifested knowledge. Black magic is understanding the pattern and using it as an advantage over others. No, it's a simple case of manipulation, manipulating the understanding of something. This is what is meant by black magic. And in many cases, the 48s are aware of the patterns that others are not aware of. And because they have to look for the possibility of expression, and because energy is hard to find in this circuit, they take advantage of the patterns that they do know. In olden days, astrologers used to be seen as black magicians. They would draw your chart up for you and it would all be very mysterious. And we're talking very old days, not 40 years ago, but like back in medieval times when they would have had their rooms with all the strange alchemical signs and candles and quills and all sorts of things. And they would have drawn up the chart. They'd have had long beards, even the women, long beards, and they were not women weren't allowed to be astrologers, would they? Yeah. Okay, something weird in the wind today is is passing through me. And so they would have the power because they'd have held your chart in front of them as they read it. And maybe they wouldn't have allowed you to even see it. If you did see it, it might have been indecipherable because it was a complex kind of, astrological charts. So they held their knowledge as power. And many people used to be very, very suspicious of the art of astrology. Human design is, of course, not black magic. It's not a mystery school. It feels a bit mysterious today, the way I'm describing this, but it's not a mystery school. You can experiment with everything that you are told. You can confirm it for yourself, whether it is correct. Or maybe it isn't. You don't have to accept anybody else's word. When we are immersed in our strategy and authority, we're not easily manipulated. Human design can put a chart down in front of you, or an analyst put a chart down in front of you, and they'll talk you through it so that you can understand exactly what is being pointed at, so that you can see what is there. There's no mystery involved. The 48 is always trying to figure out through its depth how everything works. And it can be deeply bitter when it doesn't get the chance to show everybody what it knows. There's a deep resentment that builds up in the 48th gate when it doesn't have that chance to prove that it can establish the common good. The 4816 as a channel is a projected channel. And so the theme of bitterness is one that is very much a part of this gate, as a potential at least. The 48 deals with a pattern, and the depth of understanding it holds can be of enormous value to the collective. Without depth, without the recognition and the understanding about the nature of the form, without the understanding of the pattern, common good cannot be established. The depth is there for the common good. It's not about telling somebody that you know what's good for them. It's about allowing them to experiment with it. Well, not even allowing them, but giving them the information for them to experiment with it for themselves, to find out for themselves. But when you know what the pattern is and how the common good could be established and no one asks you, oh, that can be a dark place. The first line of any hexagram gives us the essence of that hexagram. The fifth line is the projection that society puts on it, the way they'd like that hexagram to express. But the first line is telling it like it is. And the 48th gate in the first line is called insignificance. The line reads, an instinctive recognition of what is practical and deserves attention. And we can appreciate the binary again here, because if there is something that is practical and deserves attention, then there is also something that is impractical and does not deserve attention. So we have two kinds of depth. We have the profound and the inane. The well is the depth that is available in the moment based on the potential to judge a situation in the now. The keynote of the collective circuit is sharing this depth, whether vital information or trivial information. It is always being shared. It's always being put out there. And don't confuse depth with wisdom, because there can be an enormous amount of trivia stored in that well. There may be information that is of huge value, alongside the theme songs of commercials from 25 years ago, things that nobody should ever remember. Things like the names of the Bay City Rollers, for example, they can be stored in the well. Well, yeah, anyway, let's not go there. But it's not just about what is valuable, what is essential truth. Most human beings who carry the 48th gate, they have an aspect both of serious depth and trivial depth. Bear has the 48 gate twice. The things that he remembers about Brentford Football Club, you would not believe. And I will leave you to decide for yourself if that is serious information or trivial information. Personally, I refuse to comment on that one. The 48th gate, in its bitterness, to share its depth, it's always trying to be what it's not. Now, Ra said that there is no other gate that is more driven by the potential conditioning of its polarity, the gate at the other end of the channel, than this 48th gate. 48s always want to be the 16. They always think that if only they could develop their skills, they can show everybody what they've got. They won't have to wait for recognition of their depth. And what happens is that their depth is then diminished, if it's not lost altogether. Because when you try to act out what you are not in this life, you do not get the recognition you deserve. And the depth that you do have will never be recognized. And this is the fear of the 48th gate. Remember, all of the splenic gates have a fear. This is theirs. It's the fear that their depth will never be recognized, or maybe, which is sort of the same thing, but not quite, that they appear shallow, or that they are inadequate. It's very similar to their mirror gate. The mirror gate is the 36 coming out of the solar plexus. But if you fold the chart in half, why would you? But if you folded the chart in half lengthways, these two would meet. You know what a mirror is. I'm telling you what a mirror is. Anyway, the 36 is also a gate of inadequacy, but on that side, because it's to do with emotions and the whole sort of sexual frisson that you get coming with all of those emotional gates, it's a fear of sexual inadequacy. Whereas over on this side in the 48, it's that knowledge, it's the understanding, it's the inadequacy in what you know, what you hold in the depths of your well. And it fears that it will never be able to share what it does understand. It won't be able to share with others that it can see the pattern. And so the collective will go without its wisdom. They will never receive the depth of its understanding. They will never get the solution that the 48 holds. And of course, everything always comes back to operating correctly as ourself. This is the only way that all of our activations are designed to work, no other way. That's the only time that perfection can come out to play. Nice when perfection comes out to play, isn't it? When you carry the 48 in your design and you're operating correctly according to your inner authority, your inner authority. I have no idea what I'm trying to say there. Inner authority. I know what I'm trying to say, so I'm not sure what word was trying to come out instead. It sounded like all throttlety. It's the wind. According to your inner authority and your strategy and your type, always as well, the depth of your well that resides within you, it's going to be recognized and called out. The logical collective process, it needs that depth to be able to ensure that the pattern is correct and that the future is going to be secure for all of us. And in order for the depth to be there, the prerequisite is operate correctly. Well, make decisions according to your strategy and your inner authority, and allow your depth in that sense, then allow your depth to be recognized by the other. The 48 is an incredible resource. Without depth, the common good can never be established. We have the grounding, of course, there is always a grounding gate, and you will see here in the mandala that the 48 is opposite the 21. The 21, the gate of control, is in the ego center. You can see it here. It is looking up to gate 45, which is, of course, in the throat center. And I'll tell you about the channel tomorrow, or not tomorrow, later on today, when we look at the first line. Because we have this channel, the 45, 21, we have it the whole of the transit, because it's one of the outer planets, one of the longer lasting, yeah, anyway, one of them that's in this channel. And so we have it for the whole of the transit. It's tribal. I said that. Did I say it was tribal? Anyway, it is. It's called the hunter or the huntress. It's the gate of control. It's the gate that's also known as biting through. The tribe being matched here with a collective gate. They're not always easy bedfellows, the collective and the tribe. You know, in the gate of control, yeah, also doesn't necessarily play nice with anybody else, but these two are together always as a Sun-Earth combination, so there is a grounding to be found here. There is something that is going to, the two are going to work together. How do we do that? How do we find that grounding from the 21 for the 48? So maybe being tribal and in the ego, well, maybe it can provide some support and some willpower for the 48 to have some patience, to wait for the correct invitation, for the correct recognition, so that it can then share its depths. What do you think? If you have this, I would be very interested to hear your comments on it. One of the crosses that's associated, and we have 3 crosses with each Sun-Earth, and one of the crosses here is the cross of tension. And you can feel the tension. 21, 48 on its own has, carries quite a lot of tension. So does the 21. And it comes in with the 38, 39. So we've got provocation and we've got the fighter, we've got a struggle. Yeah, it's an interesting sort of combination of things. I just want to check something in my trusty ray beaching. Yeah, it is the fighter. The channel is the struggle that it's in with the 28, 38, which we haven't got. But so those are the sorts of energies that are around when we are looking at that. So any children that are born during this period are going to come in on this cross, either tension or the other crosses. It's the cross of depth if they come in on the juxtaposition. And the left angle, so that would be for the 5-5-1 or the 6-3. There's one I'm missing, isn't there? The left angle. You can let me know if I've missed one. The left angle cross of endeavor. So those are the 3 crosses that we've got. I don't think I've ever mentioned those before, have we? But yeah, so children that come in, especially this early part of the cross, are coming in on the cross of tension. And it's really good to learn about these energies because there's so much. I know all of the crosses, they have so much information in them. And although we grow into our cross, it's not something that we live out from the moment we're born. There are ways, of course, of supporting that process for our little ones so that they have they know who they are, so they know what they're growing into. Otherwise, if you're carrying around that 21 and that 39 and 30, I mean, these are really interesting energies to carry as your life's purpose, to have 70% of what we're programmed with to be coming through those 4 gates. Really good to learn about them and to and for people around you to learn about them, particularly brothers, sisters, caregivers, whoever it happens to be. Yes, I'm wittering. I'm going to stop now and I shall go and take a look at the first line. And yeah, please join me for that. If you feel like it, if it feels correct for you to spend your energy listening to the 48 line 1. I will see you soon. And until then, as always, go gently. I had someone who wrote to me in one of the when they were looking at this on YouTube, and they left a little comment saying, "Go gently, Bambaji," and it was like, "Oh, thank you." That's so sweet. It was so nice having it come back at me. I didn't expect it. It felt so sweet. Thank you. Go gently. I'll see you soon.